Hello, everybody. I'm Joan Turner, and welcome to another installment of the Greater Hero Arts Association virtual demo series. Okay. Greater Hero Arts Association is a 501c. We are a nonprofit organization. You can get on our website, artsassociation.org, and become a member that way. You can just sign up for our monthly newsletters to let you know where we're going to be and what we're doing. And all sorts of good stuff goes on here and there. I am the treasurer as well as a member and artist. Okay, and today we have someone really special joining us for our virtual demo series. Mary Taggart will be joining us in just a few moments, and she's a painter and teacher from Raleigh, Massachusetts. She has a studio in Wakefield, and that studio has been there for over 11 years. She teaches, and she also does her own artwork there, as do many of us who teach and whatnot. She is a graduate of mass art. She taught in public schools and then left to pursue other interests. After years, she returned with a childhood painting teacher, and that returned her to art full-time and a mural business. The studio came about naturally as she needed more space and others were asking for art instruction. Mary returned to mass art as a painter, studying with Catherine Kehoe, Susan Lightman, and George Nick. These teachers have informed her painting and emphasis on value and color relationships. Since moving to the Raleigh area, she has also been able to go out and paint the beauty of marshes, which she's always loved in the studio. She works on still lives, and she's believing that the observational painting is where the magic happens. It's transforming a three-dimensional work onto a two-dimensional surface. Okay, she's married and has two grown daughters of her own and two dogs. And anyone who likes animals is absolutely awesome in my book. Okay, so she will be joining us very shortly, and I will see you then. We're going to bring her in right this very moment. Okay, welcome everyone. Help me welcome Mary Taggart into the studio. Hello, Mary.
Hello, everyone.
How are you doing? How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. We are so happy that you're here. Tell us a little bit about you and what you're going to be doing for us today.
Okay, well, I am sitting in my studio today. I have had this studio now for about 11 years.
Nice.
Before this, I was a freelance muralist and whatnot, and then this opportunity came, so I grabbed it. My background is I went to school at Mass Art and became an art teacher and left, and then eventually got back to my one true love, which is creating art myself.
I know. I read that in your bio. I'm like, what do you mean you left?
Well, I taught, and then this is a little, I don't put this anywhere, but I was a sales director for Mary Kay Cosmetics for like 20 something years. And it was really great when I was raising my kids, but it wasn't my true self. But I loved working with the other women. I will say that it taught me a lot about working with people, being with other women, being self-motivated and disciplined. So, and that's helped me in my studio.
And they talk about being a makeup artist. I believe that that's a real thing. I mean, the way
it is.
Put on their makeup, it's like, oh my God, what's going on there?
Yeah. But now with the pandemic, I can honestly say that we're all getting away from it because what are you going to do? You're going to do like from here up. That's
right. That's right.
So anyways, that's why I did get away from it. But there is a wonderful little anecdote in my return to painting, in that when I was a little girl, I went to art class in a local studio, someone's house. And the woman told my mother, well, she's a little young. I was first grade, 7 years old. She said, she's a little young. Why don't you bring her and let's see what she can do? So I went. She said I was fine to continue, and so I did. Years later, someone was driving by my house and stopped, and we said, what are you doing here? He said, oh, I'm going around the corner to art class. It was my old teacher. She was literally teaching around the corner from my house. I didn't know. I called her up. I started taking classes with her again at that point as an adult. And that propelled me forward. And then she told me later, you were the youngest student I ever had. And I never knew that, you know,
That's
but I think of her
amazing.
fondly. Her name was Nancy Gambone, and I like to give credit. Her work is in museums now. She was a very
Nice.
talented woman,
Nice.
very talented. So that's about me. I do have 2 grown daughters and 5 grandchildren, and
You
yep.
don't look old enough to have any grandchildren at all.
Well,
All that makeup.
no, there's no makeup. Now it's just, it's just being outside and trying to
Yeah.
get through these times, as we all are. And so
Totally.
it's fun to do this. I've been doing some Zoom classes with I teach students from here, young kids, and we've been doing Zoom classes, so I'm familiar with the process. And the kids are great. And so today we're going to just have a Zoom demo using gouache.
Yes. Oh, what are we doing? Gouache. I did gouache in like college, like a zillion years ago, and then just kind of lost track. So it's like a watercolor, but not. It's water-based.
Right.
What's the difference between gouache and watercolor?
Well, first of all, there are 2 kinds of gouache. One can be reactivated, which is your regular designer gouache, and the other is called acrylic gouache, and that cannot be reactivated.
I never heard of acrylic gouache. See?
Acrylic gouache. That is actually what I'm going to be using today.
Oh, cool.
The acrylic gouache, because that's what I learned on. And what's so special about it is, since it can't be reactivated, you can layer. So if you say, oh, like I'm going to be doing some water on this today. Oh, I need some light reflection. Boop, you put it right on, just like oil and acrylic, except it's water soluble, clean up with water. It's travel friendly.
Cool.
It's just a great thing to have in your repertoire. The other thing that gouache is good for a lot of times is illustration. Like if people are doing beautiful little illustrations, you can get that detail, you can get that flat color that you need, and then you're free to layer. But with designer gouache, you can reactivate it with water. So that makes it tricky if you're layering, because you can pull up the color and then the color can get muddy. Whereas with acrylic gouache, it does not.
Okay, so with the reactive gouache, it's more like a watercolor, where if I were to put like green on top of red, I'd end up with brown?
Yeah, if you had enough water.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Cool.
And the thing is, even with the acrylic gouache, you can put a lot of water in it to make transparent layers or translucent layers, if you prefer.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can, I just want to check to make sure that you can work from light to dark or dark to light. Like watercolor, you always have to leave those lights. You don't have to worry about that. If you make a mistake and something gets too dark, you just paint right over it, and it covers.
Cool. Okay,
it's very cool. It's very cool. And of course, cleanup is a breeze.
Nice.
It's just water, right? And there's no smell. There's no toxicity to it. It's a perfect thing. When I was doing some gouache a couple of years ago, just in my kitchen, painting little setups of, fruits and vegetables in my kitchen. You can also use a palette knife with it to mix. It dries really quickly, and you can use several different surfaces to paint on. Paper is great. Watercolor paper is great. You can also, I've used it on a canvas on occasion.
I'm taking notes over here. What's your favorite brand? What do you recommend?
On paper?
Nope, I have a gouache, acrylic gouache.
This acrylic gouache is made by actually Acryla. It's Acryla gouache. That's the name.
Like ACR.
Yeah, I'm putting it up to the screen.
Okay, Acryla. Okay.
And I get these at Artisan Craftsman. You can't get gouache at your regular craft stores. You have to go to an art supply store.
Okay.
And the brushes that you use with gouache are like similar to watercolor brushes. So I have like sable type brushes, soft and flats and rounds. And I even use a filbert occasionally, so that they're all nice and soft and they just spread the paint. Okay. The thing that's so great about gouache is, you could put it down and come back to it 3 weeks later and fix something. It's so hard to do that with watercolor, say, because it gets overworked. And then you're like, oh, now I did too much and I don't like it anymore. But with gouache, that's not what happens.
I love it.
The other thing that's great about gouache, if you're a collage person, some people love to do collage. You can paint beautiful papers with this gouache and then use it for your collage. So it's just another thing that I know people that do it. So
I am going to start playing with it. So when I'm looking in the, over your shoulder, is that what we're going to be doing today? Is that picture?
we're doing this. This is an oil sketch of the marsh near me because I live near the marshes up in Rowley, and I always go out and paint them. And I've already taped my watercolor paper, and usually I buy 130 or 140 pound. You can gesso it, or you don't have to. This is not gesso, and of course the cold press has a more toothy surface. The hot press is a smoother surface. It just depends on your preference. But that's another thing that's really great. You buy a big sheet of water paper, you can cut it into all, and then you can do as many paintings as you want with your gouache. So I'm going to, I just want to check, make sure I didn't leave anything out. Okay. And like anything else, the quality of your materials makes a difference. Not a huge, you know, when you were beginning, that's one thing. But as you go along, if you want a beautiful, rich red, you need good
I tell
quality.
students, get the best materials you can afford.
That's right. And if you only get a couple of brushes, get a couple of good ones. Nothing worse than having those bristles split and now you're just frustrated constantly. Okay. So I don't know if you can see closely my lines on here.
Oh, I can. Move the viewing. Are you going to keep us on the paper at this point?
I'm going to flip you. Okay.
I have been flipped before, young lady. Oh, okay. Oh, that's
so here's
perfect.
my initial drawing, because whenever I do, and here's my paint sketch. That's in oil, okay? And here's my palette. I'm going to put out my palette and then show you how I arrange my palette.
Very nice.
And let me flip this back, okay? So flip this, let's see. I'll keep talking here while I do my palette. How's that? Okay.
That's great. Tell us what colors you're using.
Yes. So I am doing a double primary palette for the most part, which means 2 yellows, 2 reds, and 2 blues.
Will you point us to your palette so we can see what you're doing down there, woman?
Yep. Okay. So let's see how I can do this so you can see what I'm doing. All right.
Inquiring minds. Oh, that's perfect.
Right, so we have 2 yellows.
Yeah.
2 reds. Yeah. I only have 1 blue right now today, so I am going to put out these 2 greens.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. And my white, and of course you use a lot of white, like everything else. And that's the order that I put my paint in. So I'm going to put this so I can use both hands while I'm talking to you. And what I find about using a double primary palette is that you tend to not overmix your colors. As you know, the primaries make the secondaries, and the secondaries, whoop, I have a little log. And then the secondaries go into the tertiaries and so forth. But when we are mixing our colors, one thing I like to do is make a few little color choices ahead of time so I can see what my colors can do. I don't know if people watching have ever done this, but it's really a lot of fun to make a few colors, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute as soon as I get these all out. I didn't put them out ahead of time. Can you think why I didn't put them out ahead of time?
So they won't dry out?
That's right, because these dry fast.
Yay! The day, who will it be?
If you really want to put things out and keep them, you can have a spray bottle handy and spray the gouache. But again, if you spray the gouache, come on, buddy. If you spray the gouache, then it gets really wet and maybe runny, and maybe you don't want that either.
Sure.
All right. I'm having trouble with this little guy. Okay.
It's all right. We're getting a good look at your studio.
Oh, my studio. I love my studio. And
that's great. It looks like it's nice and roomy.
It is. I'm so fortunate. And the kids come in, they sit up front,
Nice.
And I use the back area for me for the most part.
Cool.
It's my space.
And you have some good lighting going on there.
Oh, all these windows, I know.
Yeah, nice.
And you know, it's really funny. A long time ago, I wrote, I was in some kind of a, I don't know what it was, goal setting or some kind of thing. And I wrote an affirmation. And I said, someday I will have my own studio where I do my own work and teach others. And it will be big and sunny and beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, here it is. I got that studio that I put in my affirmation. So
good for you.
Okay, that's your green. This is my olive. Okay, and my blue. Okay, so as I was saying about the palette, we always need to know where our colors are every time we sit down to paint. People, some of my adult students drive me crazy because they'll come in and they'll say, well, I'm gonna just work on the water today, so I'm just gonna put out the blues over here. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're going to put out the whole thing the way you're supposed to, because you can't mix your colors if you only have a few of them. So
right.
I always put out my palette in this way.
Oh, very nice.
Every single time.
Good girl.
Never a change. Okay. So, anyways, just wanna leave that there. Okay. Now, this is where it gets tricky, because you're going to be at my back pretty much as I try to paint. Okay. So here's, how's that? Or do you want this closer?
I would say get as close as you can and still be able to paint. Sometimes I do this and I'm like hitting the computer with my arm.
Right. See, this is where it gets tricky.
That's okay. That's okay. There.
Yeah.
There you go. That's better.
All right. I'm going to have to kind of reach in with this.
I was going to say, you're going to have to paint funny.
I am going to have to paint funny.
Standing on my head
Maybe
sometimes.
that'll make the painting come out better. I might like it. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do in this, since I already have my pencil lines in here. Oh, let's talk a little bit about basic composition. Good. You probably can, I managed to get that blue all over my hand already. You probably can notice right here is a horizon line, and it is under halfway.
Okay,
so just in general,
lines at this point. We can't see your lines at this point.
I am going to go over them.
Okay,
so that
I'm wondering, can you put the camera up a little bit higher? You're using a pad.
I'm using an easel. Let me see what I can prop it on. Hold on. Let's see. How's that? Is that too high?
It's a little too high.
All right, let's see. We'll try something else. Technology, right?
Yeah, a little. Oh, perfect.
Is that good?
Yep,
right.
That's good.
Okay. All right, so now.
And that's okay if we see your shoulder and back. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
You're good.
So you can see this and you can see this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over these lines just with, like, I'm going to make a gray. So I'm going to take a little bit of my cadmium red. This is cad yellow. This is lemon yellow. This is crimson. I think this is, what is this called? Light green, olive green, and French ultramarine blue. So if I use my cadmium and my blue, my French ultramarine, I can get like a purpley gray color. I'm actually going to put a little yellow in there. I'm just going to mix it up so it's, you know what, I'll just use this olivey color. So you can see it looks a little watery, right?
Yeah.
You can see that? Whoop, this way.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go over my line so you can at least see what I'm doing here. Okay, my little marsh lines. And it's good to note that since this is gouache, you're not going to see much of these later. This is more so I know where my large shapes are.
Yeah, creating some guidelines. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
So you can start to see this little
Yeah, you
landscaping
can
thing
see that, and you're doing it really
happening, right?
fast here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to change these because I just noticed something. They're the same size.
Yeah.
And in landscape painting, we want to make sure that we don't do that. I am going to put in a little bit up here for my cloud situation, just because I want to make sure that I know where they're going to be. So we're going to have a little bit of some gray underneath. Okay, so you get an idea, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going to lay in the areas of color. And the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to use my palette knife to mix a good quantity of a base green color that I can put so I can differentiate where the marsh grass is versus the water.
Cool.
So let's see. The marsh grass is a really interesting color because I always look at it and think, is it yellow? Is it green? Is it orange? It's got a lot of color in it. So I'm going to make a good amount of this with my palette knife, and then I'll show you it. And if you're not using a palette knife to mix colors, I can't suggest it strongly enough, because as I mix this color,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see, there's still little bits of the color in it. So as I mix, let's say I want to put a little more of this green in it. Let's see, come on, green. As I mix it, you really can blend it well with the palette knife. Whereas if it's on your brush, it's going to be streaky. You know, maybe you want that streaky look, but perhaps you don't. Perhaps you want to get some nice, like I mentioned, with this product, flat color. Okay. So I think I'm going to see what this looks like to me. Okay, this is good color for me.
Nice, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to just lay this in, and you can see how flat it is. If I wanted to make it more transparent, I could add more water.
Okay.
And see how that's a little more transparent over there? More watercolory.
Yep.
Okay.
Nice.
And that's okay because it's the first layer. So however works. Okay.
So you're just using a regular flat brush?
Yep, I am.
Okay.
I know some people like rounds. I like flats. It's the style that I paint.
Yeah. Now, does this dry about as fast as a watercolor?
Oh, it dries super fast.
Cool.
By the time I come around to do more on here, it'll be dry. And so this would be, and I want to show you something on this. So this is that. So I feel like now it's kind of, the water's coming in, it's coming across. All right. And then I'm going to lay in now these. And I think what I'll do with those is, because we know lights advance, darks recede, cools recede, warms advance, that's going to be a cool shade of like a bluey purple, because it is in the distance. So let's see. And again, I'm using quite a bit of white on this, but you can see, look what's happening. This purple, it's too bright. So in order to knock down a purple, we use the complement. I use a little yellow to bring that down. All of these regular concepts. Still a little, okay.
Nice.
All right, it's almost there, what I want. And the other thing about using a palette knife, then you can take it and you go, is this what I want? And you can put it right up here. You can even put the palette knife to check.
Good idea. I don't use the palette knife knife often. So this
Yeah,
is a good
I use it
idea.
all the time now to mix. So I'm gonna make that just a little pinker, a little more blue.
Very nice.
So now we'll do another, let me just use a filbert instead, so we can see with a different brush shape. So with a filbert, I can get that edge right up here, right?
You can get rounded a little bit more.
Yeah, a little rounded.
Yep.
So I'll put that there. And I think on this side, I'm just gonna, because when I go out to the marsh, there's some trees in the distance and then there's not, okay? But now I have a sense of forward and back.
Yep, it has
So
a
the
nice
next logical
sense of
place.
depth.
Yeah.
Yep.
And all I've done here is a warm color, this is the cool color.
Mm-hmm.
Now the next thing that I'll do is I'm gonna put in the base blue color for the sky and the water.
Okay.
So got a lot of white and a little bit of my French ultramarine.
Can we see what you're mixing there, woman?
Yep. French ultramarine and white.
Nice. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. So I'm going to put it up here and go, yeah, that looks good.
That works.
That looks like what I want. So I'm going to go back to my flat brush because now I have a couple of bigger areas to fill in. But what might be nice is to use the filbert around the clouds. And I didn't think of this, but I think I might just do a little bit of this on the bottom of the clouds.
Nice.
Because I can lay that in.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm starting to make it look like there's some shadows on the clouds, I've got this already there. Okay. So now I have my sky color. And this is where you start to see, watch. I can go right over. Yeah. See how I'm going right over those lines? See how it just covers?
Uh-huh.
And you saw how recently I did those lines.
Right. Yep.
So you can cover.
Very nice.
And I want to change that. I'll have to go back into that. I cut off a little too much. Okay.
You look like you're moving in fast motion.
I know.
Paint very quickly, actually.
I do paint fairly fast. Especially,
like, wow, did we speed up the tape or what here?
I know. Especially this subject matter. I can't even tell you how many times I've stood out at that marsh and painted. It's just so gorgeous.
Nice.
Every time I go, it's different. Sometimes I see the cranes, sometimes not, but it's I have a lot of little paintings in my studio that, and I'm going to show you one, just so you know how I feel about the marsh. And I tell people, I went out one day and I said, the marsh loves me back.
Oh, look at that.
The pond was in a heart.
Synchronicity. I love it.
So, all right, so.
I'm going to ask you a question. Every time we see your head in there, it changes the lighting because the camera tries to focus on your head.
Okay.
Can you move the camera to the left, I want to say, so that your head's not in the frame, only because it keeps trying to focus on your head.
Yeah, I can do this. It's much easier this way.
It is? Okay. Well, now we can't see the whole picture.
Okay, wait a minute.
A little bit more?
Okay. How are we going to do this? All right, wait a second.
Is it possible to move the easel to your right?
This?
The easel to your right?
How's that?
Yep, that's good. That's good. So,
oh, okay. And I'm over here now. Okay.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is when the camera sees your head, it refocuses from the picture to your head.
I get it. I get it.
Yep. Perfect. That's better.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry about being a pain, but.
Okay.
Nice.
But like everybody else, even though I had a good little mound there, I'm out of it already, so I gotta make a little more. Yeah.
Yes, I know that story.
Yes, I know. My students are always like, but I ran out of to paint. And I'm like, you got to make a lot. It's the most frustrating thing. You just have to have it. Otherwise, you're out of paint and you're like, ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's great. I'm definitely going to try acrylic gouache. I never even knew it existed.
You know, I will say this, it's not cheap. You know, I mean, to buy a tube of acrylic gouache,
Yeah.
they're a few dollars each, and you can see how small they are.
Yeah, they're very small.
They're very small. So then I would say if you're going to use it, do small pieces, not big giant things, because you just go through so much in a short amount of time.
Cool. All right.
Yeah. I love it though. It does. Look at this, like how I can just cover already. I can just cover and it's not, okay.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, it's really great. So I think now we'll move on to the clouds, since I'm looking at this and it looks like a little heavy.
I think that's great the way it covers like that. It's more opaque.
Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. Now, can you see any of that darker shade through the lighter shade, or is it completely opaque?
It's covering it.
Okay.
Okay.
Huh. Nice.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of orbs?
What?
Have you ever heard of orbs?
Orbs? No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, some people think they're little energy bubbles that kind of float.
Oh,
you have a lot. You have a lot in your video here. I can see them.
You're kidding.
No, wait till you see it. Wait. Usually they don't show up until you see the recording, but I can see them. So you got quite a few going on.
Well,
that's a whole different conversation.
I believe in a lot of that energy stuff.
I had a feeling you did. They certainly seem to believe in you.
Okay.
Nice. Very nice.
So you can see why I like a flat brush. You can see what's happening.
Yep.
You know, why I do this.
Yep. Yeah, I can tell you're definitely at home with that brush.
I sure am.
Yes. Nice. So a landscape's your favorite? I'm kind of peeking at your background.
No, I like still life too. I tend to do both. Landscapes, you know, I because of where I live and everything.
Sure.
You know, they've been good, but you know, let's see.
Nice.
Okay. And then all right. So I'm going to leave that for the moment, except for this up here. Let that dry a little bit. And then this. So when I just put a little bit of this down here, you can. Okay.
Oh, very nice.
So the clouds are coming down.
Yeah,
okay.
Very nice.
Still a little, some of these areas are still a little bit dark, but
they look good from here.
Okay. So now it's time to go into all of this. So now I will probably use my brush a little more for the mixing, because I'm going to start adding different colors on the tops, and I'm going to take a different brush. Let's see. I have this one that I will use more. And let's see, that was my bigger filbert. And I might even use this little one again, but for right now. And what I'm going to try to do is add some dark values into these edges of the marsh, because that's the way it is. They're very, very, very dark. So you may have noticed
depth. Yes, that gives them more depth. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And you may have noticed that I don't have any black on my palette.
I did notice that.
Right. Because you can get such lovely rich darks that you mix. Like I just mixed the cadmium yellow, cadmium red, and French ultramarine blue. And I'm going to lay in some of this.
Oh, very nice.
It's dark, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if you're mixing your own blacks, you get a much better variety than
They're
if you're
richer.
just,
Yeah.
they're much richer
Yes.
than if you're just getting it out of the tube. And then it's just one simple color every time.
Right, right.
Whoop. Okay. Already some of these are getting a little sticky. They're already a little sticky.
If that paint dries in your brush where it's water-based, is the brushes ruined or can they be restored?
I think you can soak them and they'll come back, but it's like anything else, you know?
Yeah,
Don't
don't
not.
do this. Yeah. My thought is, you know, I have some younger students as well.
Yep.
They're infamous for, you know, just throwing the brushes on the table and then
Oh, I know.
paint dries in them, and you know, we're soaking them and trying to do this and that. But with acrylics, which is typically what we use, once that dries on your brush, you can throw it out or use
acrylic,
it for dotted mandalas, one or the other.
Right.
So this, because it's water-based, I was wondering if you soaked it, if it would restore it.
It might, I don't know. I can't say for sure.
Well, that means you've never tried it, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty good about my brushes.
Yeah, I am too. I am too.
So I'm changing this darkness a little bit as it goes back up here.
And you're changing it to lighter because
a little lighter,
yeah, with the background, right?
A little lighter.
Gotcha.
It's a little too thick, but I will. So I'm still, you know, trying to show that differentiation in the marsh. Then, oftentimes in these grasses is a really pretty peach color.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna put that in because I just like it.
We're gonna get
I just like it.
We're gonna get peachy. That's right.
So it would be like above.
Yes, there you go.
Okay. So, and then maybe a little bit here. But it starts to come to life a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, that's
start adding. I don't know if there's any peach down here, but
there is now.
There is now.
There is now.
And then back here might be more of like a lime green. A lot of times that happens at the marsh. The green can become this like lime color. It's when it's in the distance, it's very bright.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put a little and see what I think.
Very nice.
But I like it. And I might put a little here. And then we're gonna come back down here with my bigger brush and mix another color, a different green now, with my palette knife. Let me check it out on here.
Yeah.
Check it out. I want to make it a little more yellow.
I love that you do that. You hold it up against it. See how it's gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I like that.
So this now I want to make this feel like the grass is growing up, right?
Yeah. Nice.
And because I can paint over,
yeah.
I just can bring it right over. And if I get too much, I can put some more in there. And I'm going to put some of this over here. Even over some of that orange. Okay.
Nice, very nice. So those first, your first colors, you're just kind of laying down color very quickly. It has a nice free feel to it. And now just kind of fine tuning and getting the details on a little.
Right.
Very nice.
I'm just trying to add other colors because it's so rich at the marsh. It's just there's so many. You really can't go wrong. I mean, especially now with the gouache. I mean,
Nice.
if we put nuts in, too much. Too much. Let's
much.
see. Too much of that. Let's see about this. You know, maybe a little bit of this makes it look like there's some light over here. I don't know.
Sneaking through. Yeah.
I might put some of this back on there. But see, you can use it just like
Yeah,
regular
I
paint.
love the versatility you're getting.
Right.
That's great.
And over here,
Yep. Nice.
I want it to be closer. But what also happens as it's closer to the bottom on the grass, it does get darker. So we'll put some of this darker. So I'm going to mix some red into green. And then so we can
Very nice. It's really starting to come to life. That's beautiful.
Right.
Yeah, beautiful.
hopefully it will, right? As
Yeah.
I add these different colors. But this is kind of like fall colors, I would say.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's not too summery.
Yeah, it
right
doesn't
now.
look summery. Yeah,
No.
it looks
More fall.
somewhere, yeah. Now, do you ever get into like very fine details or most
I
impressionistic?
try not to.
Okay.
I try not to
Yeah.
when I'm at the marsh like this,
Mhm.
because you can really get lost in that. But I
Yeah.
am going to do some grassy, you know, things
Uh-huh.
as we get to that point. I am.
Sure. I have to say those clouds keep jumping out. I love the way the clouds look. Even the darkness around those borders
Really?
makes them look, yeah, nice and full. Especially from here. I imagine they look good to you too, but from here they really look awesome.
Oh, good.
Cool.
So one thing I do think that's bothered me a little bit is this right here. So I want to bring that down a little bit. Just bothering me a little bit.
So when you say bring it down, you mean tone it
I
down?
brought this color down into the
Okay.
peachy color.
Okay.
And see here with this,
Yeah.
like little brush,
Yes.
you know, it's still wet enough. I can move it a little bit, but I'm not going to move it too much. Okay, let's see. So now I want to go back into that back, because what does happen is you can see some tree stuff. Let's see if this is, you can make out sometimes some certain trees.
Shapes, yeah.
Yeah, you can make certain shapes.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. But I want to soften that a little bit too. So now we feel like, okay, there's something in the distance there, but it's very far.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nice.
So now back to the water. This is probably a little reflection.
Yep, that's what I was waiting for. Like, oh,
Yeah,
can we
it's a
get
little
that clouds
reflection.
in the water?
My paper towel here. Okay. So I'm going to just bring it down a little bit into the water.
Okay, and this is a reflection of that grass and
Right, right.
Nice. Now the reflection is not the same color as the actual thing it's reflecting. Do you put some of that color in there?
I'm going to put some of that in.
Okay.
I'm just kind of,
yeah, that was
blocking
my
this
next
in.
question. It's like, how much color do you put in the reflections,
Right. not as much back there, because
Mhm.
this is closer to me.
Mhm.
So I'll put, let's see, a little bit of this can go in the reflection.
Ah, there we go.
Okay, there
Yeah.
it is. And then a little bit of this
Nice.
can come in.
Beautiful. Very nice.
Okay, so we have, the other thing about reflections is a lot of times people paint water this way,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's really fun to paint water this way.
Vertically. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. So now I want to go back and do some more color in this water. So I love to put a little like purpley tone in my water sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So let me, I don't know if you can hear my guy upstairs.
Yeah, just a tad, but it's not an issue. Just,
Okay.
yeah, you're fine.
Okay. Yeah, he's kind of loud. He
I
does
think it
have
goes with it's the testosterone thing, you know?
a business
you
up
know?
there, and sometimes I'm like, shh, quiet.
Be quiet. Sound low. Lower those decibels a little bit.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, totally. They just like you to know they're around, you know?
I know.
Yeah.
True, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So when I'm painting oils, like I wouldn't do some of this stuff that I'm doing because the oils don't lend themselves to that.
Correct. Yeah, they're a little bit. Yeah, what you're doing, this acrylic wash is perfect for, which is a very good point. Depending on your subject matter, certain
Right.
mediums lend themselves better than others.
Right.
You know, I can't tell you how many students are like, you know, I want to do a tree with colored pencils, and I'm like, well, you know,
I
you
know.
can, but you know.
So I'm putting a little bit of white in the water.
Yeah. Nice.
Ooh, it's already, time is flying.
Nice.
Looked up there. Okay. So let me go back into my sky. Make another batch of that blue. And you can hear me cleaning off my palette knife because I do not want any yellow
Yeah.
in that. That would not be a good thing for this sky.
That would not be a good thing.
We don't want a green sky.
Make sure your brushes are clean. I actually was putting on some sealer on a picture yesterday, and all of the white paint wasn't out of the brush. So the entire picture had this like white film on it, and you know, panic stricken. Like, oh my God, yeah. Make sure your brushes are clean, kids.
Yep, I know.
Oh my gosh.
Makes a huge, huge difference.
Yeah. Heart attack difference.
Oh God. A friend of mine doesn't have running water in her studio, and I can't understand how she has to take her brushes home every single time. I'm like, oh my God,
when you
Susan.
said that, my heart skipped a beat. I'm like, no, you know, if you're painting, you definitely need clean water.
You do, I know.
So what are we adding? Are you adding
this
blue?
is just sky color.
Okay, sky color is blue and white?
Yep, this is the French ultramarine again, and it's dark. It's a little darker up here.
Okay.
You know how?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
The sky gets a little darker as we go higher.
Yep.
Right.
Nice.
So
nice. Very nice.
Okay, let's see. Can I put a little bit of that darkness in the water here and there? Why not?
Why not?
Just a little bit. Oh, my beloved marshes. I love them so much.
Yeah, you can tell. You can tell. You have a very gentle touch with them.
There we go.
Nice.
All right. I just want to clean up those clouds a little bit. They don't look quite the way I want them to at the moment. Let me just get some nice clean white. Okay.
So is this just plain white?
Yep, this is just plain white.
Okay.
of course, I got to show you one thing. Teeny, teeny, teeny bit of the, hold on.
This is a nice picture. I'm enjoying it.
Teeny bit of, see that?
Yep.
It's not even going to be that much of the cad orange. Okay.
Orange. Okay, I thought you were going to say yellow.
I'm sorry, cad red. Cad red.
Cad red.
Okay. So when I mix this, okay.
So you're putting the cad red in the white?
Yes. So then when I can do this, do you see that on the clouds? That pinkish?
Not quite.
Not quite?
Not
okay,
quite.
Let me see if I can get it a little deeper just so you can see it. Okay. Can you see that?
Yes, can see
okay.
Light tint, nice.
So, you know, this is a fun thing to do to clouds.
Sure.
You know, you don't always have to or anything, but sometimes it's just want to connect those.
Nice.
Sometimes it's just fun to put some other colors, but that looks a little bright to me, but so that you guys could see it.
Yep.
You know, so, and then you can go in with your pure white and hit some of these edges. Think about where the light's coming from. So the light seems to be coming this way the whole time on here.
Are you thinking upper right?
Upper right. Like this.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna, let's see. There's always the little clouds down here, right?
Yep.
They just kind of get smaller as they get to the bottom.
Nice.
Okay. And the last thing that I'll do is I'll take my skinniest brush, which is this is it. And I am going to put in the actual grasses so we can kind of see a little bit of them in the front.
So detail brush, a small thin brush is going to go right in the front.
See it?
Yes.
Okay, so right now on here, I want to add those.
What colors are you using? What color?
It's a mixture of the olive green and the cad yellow, deep.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
So that I can go over some of those dark shades, so I can bring that up. Same thing over here. Maybe I want to add a few. This brush is a little too thick, but I'm trying to, because I want to get this edge a little rougher.
Very nice.
Okay. Oh, right in the corner. I forgot that last little corner right here. This guy. The other thing, I don't know, when you have a palette knife, I'm gonna grab another one. So I mix up this color, right? And I have this green color. Let's say I mix almost more of a, okay. So it's a little wetter. But what you can do with your palette knife, is I can actually take my palette knife and use it, even though this is gouache, I can still use that edge. See how I can make those little marks?
Okay, so you're putting the edge of the palette knife into your paint and just using the edge. Yes.
See how I can get that? Now that's your gouache doing that, you know, and I don't know if you can do that with watercolor.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't believe I've ever tried it.
Because here's my palette. Okay.
Yeah.
And, oh, that's dripping. But you get these, you can make the paint creamy, and then you can use it on a palette knife like you would with oil.
Yeah, I like the idea that you can control the consistency.
You really can. You really can. And then, like I'm looking at this little tree guy right here. I want to fix him.
Yeah, you're right about around the 50-minute mark. Just so you know where you're at. Okay.
I want to fix this little guy.
Yeah.
Who's bugging me.
Yeah, if you don't fix it, it's going to just keep bugging you. That's it.
Yeah, it's going to bug me.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So these are those horizontal vertical strokes that you were talking about in the water. That's quite beautiful. Very nice.
just to give it that
Yeah.
feeling that there's some kind of light.
Uh-huh.
You know, that's what we want to convey, that the light is hitting.
It's hitting the wall.
And this is kind of tacky too, this color that I have here. It's kind of, I don't know if you can see it on the brush.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's a little thick.
It's thick. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little thick. So I'm just putting it on there. So I feel like there's light hitting down.
So what kind of, is there a textural feel to it? Like once that's dry, if you were to run your hand over it, would you feel bumps and texture, or does it dry smooth?
I feel maybe a small bump, but
Oh, okay.
mostly not. It's pretty
Yeah,
flat.
Yeah, I was thinking flat until I just looked at your brush, and then I said, "Oh,
Yeah,
maybe it dries bumpy."
it's pretty flat. It dries
Okay.
pretty flat. So let's bring this a little closer.
Oh, very nice.
Okay.
Very nice.
So you can, if I turn it this way, I mean, you can see that there's nothing. It's on paper.
Very nice.
So
that's excellent, excellent. So is this a done piece now, or will you?
I would think so.
let
You
it
know,
sit?
I don't want to do too much on this because
Yep.
here's my foreground.
Uh-huh.
That's my background. I don't
Yep.
want to overwork it. My
Mhm.
style is a little looser.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so that would be,
Love it.
I think, you know, for a gouache.
For a gouache. Okay.
If I was doing an oil of the marsh, you know, when I was working in the studio, I've done a lot of more abstracted marsh pieces.
Uh-huh.
I would go back in and really, you know, work it. Because what I do when I do an abstracted one, you kind of lose where's the sky and where's the water.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I break some of those edges. So anyways, but these pieces usually are what my jumping off part is
Yeah.
for an
That's quite
abstraction.
beautiful. Can we get a close up again like you did last time? Just kind of hold that towards the camera and let's see the fine
Sure.
details a little bit. No? That is absolutely gorgeous. Very, very nice. And I can't believe how fast you did it. So
Well,
thank you for doing
I'm
that.
happy that I could do it that fast because, of course,
I'm just amazed that you can do it that fast. I work pretty fast, but I don't think I could have completed that in an hour. I'm not sure.
Well, I think part of it is, you know, the subject. Like I know this in my sleep.
I was
pretty
just
much
going to
now.
say things that you know very well and are comfortable with, you can kind of
Right.
whip them up a little bit.
Right.
Well, we thank you. GHAA thanks you. And tell people
you.
if they want to know more about you, how can we get
Okay,
a hold of you, young lady?
If they want to know more about me, I have a website, taggartstudio.com,
Right.
and then you can reach me through there. I do teach one morning a week for adults, and of course we're masked and we're socially distanced.
Right.
And it's an intro class to, it's painting basics really.
Okay.
And I teach value, composition, color
Okay.
mixing, all those things that
And
are
where
necessary.
are you located? You're in Raleigh?
No, my studio is in Wakefield because I lived in Wakefield most of my married life.
Oh, wow.
And then when we sold our house, we found ourselves in Rowley, kind of serendipitously. So I commute down here. It's only about half an hour.
Nice.
So
very
far.
nice. Very nice.
So that's it.
Yes. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you. I'm glad you were here chatting with me. I was thinking,
yeah, I wouldn't miss it. I wouldn't miss it. This was amazing. I totally enjoyed it. And
great.
I've been teaching for over 40 years and I'm still learning new stuff. So
don't we all, right?
You. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All righty, my dear. I am going to say goodbye for now.
Okay.
And
bye-bye.
We will talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.